mini skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, dip my body
Hello. You're now tuned in to the A Little Bit a Lot podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, and I am back at it again with another episode. This is part 2 of the High School Musical series, and I am joined again by my sister, Janae.
Hi.
Hey, Janae, glad to have you back. Last week was so much fun with us talking about High School Musical 1, and now we are about to get into the gags with High School Musical 2. If you guys didn't watch that first episode, please make sure you go watch it because it was so much fun. I had such a good time, and it was great to look back at the movie as an adult and reflect. And same thing with this movie. Like, it was really interesting to watch again. And I mentioned in the previous episode that High School Musical 2 is my personal favorite. So I was really excited to get to watch that. So we are going to share our thoughts about the movie just like we did last episode. And then we will also be covering High School Musical 3 next week. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And let's get into it. But before we do that, if you are watching this episode on YouTube, make sure you give this video a like, comment down below to let me know what you think about High School Musical 2. What are your favorite moments? And subscribe. I really appreciate that. Subscribe, turn those post notifications on so you're staying up to date with the episode. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, rate that 5 stars. Five little mama, you a 3-star. I ain't sleeping when I say I'm in my dream car. Word to Nicki Minaj. And go ahead and review. Rate that 5 stars and review. All my gays, theys, she's, he's, okay? Everyone's welcome here. This is a safe space. So with High School Musical 2, I would say that this is my favorite movie just because I live, laugh, love for summer vacation as a kid. And I just really, really love the like color scheme. This movie just feels so much brighter. The previous movie started on New Year's. So, it was kind of just more like dimly lit. It was the winter time. It just felt more cozy. It was during, the winter musicale, where this is like, we are getting litty. We're about to have fun in the sun, literally words of the Wildcats. And I don't know, the energy is just like up. And on top of that, I think it's just so great because like Troy and Gabriella are like full blown together at this point, and they're just really booed up and they're really excited to continue to do that during summer vacation. So there's just so much excitement in the air from the beginning of this movie. Right from the first second, you feel it. We have our notes here just like we did with last episode. And when this movie started, the first thing that came to mind for me was the fact that Chad and Troy have only gotten cuter. Like, I'm sorry. I said it before. Like, I'm a Troy Bolton stan through and through. And that man was looking so cute in this movie. I'm like, how could he like glow up any more than what he already was? I don't know. Especially Chad. I just feel like he just gives like even more boy. You know what I'm saying? He's just really grown into his features. He's a little bit broader shouldered tings. His face, he's grown into his face a little bit more. Like, I don't know. His hair just is like flowing and bouncing in the wind a little bit more in this film. Like, them two look good. Like, yeah. Troy's eyes only got bluer.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely, the color grading of the film, they definitely like put the saturation on full for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird how unnatural icy blue Troy's eyes are. I feel like they wanted to like emphasize that on purpose maybe. But yeah, I agree. Troy and Chad definitely look really good, and it's another reason why I had such a big crush on Corbin Bleu when I was little.
Yeah, I could see why the Chad of it all, the Corbin Bleu of it all, was like turned up to the max. Like, turn your click up, dog, for real. Cause second movie, girl, oh my god. Also, when we first get into the movie, for those who haven't watched it, The movie starts off with them in Mrs. Darbus's class. She's their drama teacher, and she's just kind of like lecturing about, the summer. Jason asks, what is one of her favorite summer memories? And everybody's like, really? And it just feels like a bunch of blah, 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 because they're like, no, the school day is almost done, Miss Darbus. Cut the noise. We want to get the frick out of here so our summer can officially begin. So you feel the anticipation. The clock is ticking. They're painting around the classroom. Troy looks back at Gabriella and she's like, girl, I don't know what Miss Darbus is talking about. Everyone's confused because they're just like, we don't care. We're over it. We're over it. We're literally about to clock out until the fall. And then it pans over to Zeke sitting with a hat on next to Miss Darbus. And I'm like, what is that?
It's a dunce hat.
What? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not cultured in that way, I guess. Because what is a dunce hat? Like, is that some type of like, you're bad, like you're disciplined?
It's kind of like a shame thing.
Oh my God. So essentially, he's like in timeout.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know what that was. Also, I thought it was so interesting that Troy was scared of the summer countdown. Like,
yeah, I read somewhere that this was initially supposed to be like a dream sequence. So that's why he's just kind of looking around and everybody's being like, summer, summer. And then the clock behind Miss Jarvis is so abnormally big.
yeah.
I feel like that might not, I don't know. I feel like I saw somewhere that was initially supposed to be a dream like thing.
If that's true, that does make sense because the way they're all chanting summer, summer, and he's just like slowly, like, just kind of squirming in his seat, like, I'm shook. I'm like, why aren't you excited, Troy? Like, everybody else is litty. But after, everybody's so excited for the summer countdown to begin, then the bell rings and they're like, finally, we are free to be lit. And they start singing, what time is it? And honestly, I would say that this, as an introduction song, compared to the introduction song that we get in High School Musical 1, is crapping all over High School Musical 1, in my opinion. I know I'm personally biased here, but I feel like every single song on this soundtrack is 10 times better than every song on the first soundtrack.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that What Time Is It is really that good of a song.
I live for that song.
I do want to say, I have in my notes, I wonder if I'll ever feel anything else as exhilarating as the start of summer vacation in my life again. Like, I don't know, it just
They capture that feeling so well, the exhilaration.
Right. Like, it was just so exciting. But now I'm like, okay, now that I'm an adult, I'm not in school. I'm like, I don't like, there's nothing like that anymore. There's nothing that can compare to that feeling.
Except for maybe when you go on vacation in the summer, then you're like, wait, I'm kind of feeling the vibes.
Yeah. I feel like I do like the choreography and stuff for What Time Is It, but
yes,
I think that, I don't know, just the difference between High School Musical 1 to High School Musical 2, like, I know that there's a lot more, like, budget and stuff. Just What Time Is It? It felt a little bit too musical-y. Like, I think everything that played out in High School Musical 1, like, it felt like a real musical. Like, the songs, like, transitioned nicely into the storyline and stuff. And, the start of something new was such a, like, I think, great way to start off the series. Like, this is the start of something new. And I think What Time Is It is just sort of like, woo, we're, dancing in the halls, it's summer. And, like, I don't know, something about it just feels cheesy and, like, kind of lame. Like, I don't know.
But I feel like I would feel the same way about, like, we're all in this together. That feels kind of like,
I mean, yeah,
cheesy, lame
it's
too.
like, it does, but it does, I feel like that, I think, and maybe Get Your Head in the Game I don't know. It's just I know what I'm trying to say, and I understand the
No, I do
feeling.
get it. I do get it. I get
I
that.
think
But
that
I have to disagree because I'm like, I feel like this is starting the tone so right with the crazy, chaotic feeling that is like the end of school. Like the hallway does get crazy. People are cleaning out their locker. Like at our middle school, I just remember it being so hectic in the hallway.
yeah. I think what I'm trying to say is that for me, most of High School Musical 2 in general, which is why I don't really like this movie at all, really. Um, I think High School Musical 2 just feels too Disney. I think High School
Mm,
Musical 1 was like so earnest and so like it was a kids movie, of course, so it did have like some cliches and some, cheesiness, but I felt like it was a lot more earnest and genuine. And High School Musical 2 just feels like Disney was like, we need a summer movie for the kids. And
something for the kids.
that's what I just feel like High School Musical 2 is. Like, I'll get into it later, but there's just a lot about High School Musical 2 that just really upsets me and that I don't really like. And
Me and my homegirl.
I like to just sort of see High School Musical 2 as sort of a like an outlier. Like maybe this was an alternate reality type thing. In my head, High School Musical 1 and 3 are sort of
The
the real
actual lore.
timeline.
Oh,
High School Musical 2 is a bit,
wow.
it's like, but I still love it for what it is, and the characters and the fact
Okay,
that it's
good.
High School
You're like,
Musical.
I'm not crapping all over it, but it's just not my fave and it's not my full cup of tea.
Yeah, I feel like they wasted a lot of potential in High School Musical 2, in my personal opinion.
And I think that's understandable, especially for the way that they set it up. For it to be a summer movie, it's like, I can see why you're like, oh, you already chopped just by doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see if they were like, summer school, I don't know.
right.
But no, I totally get it. And I think that like this is what we need. We need two different opinions. Okay. Like I'm all for it and you're like, well, we could do more.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I personally love What Time Is It? Just the cute little like basketball dance choreography sequence that they
that
have in
was
it.
good.
Yes, the fact that Chad, like Corbin Blue, is like has so many moments in this song.
Yeah,
I love the choreography, not only the way they incorporate the basketballs again, just like get your head in the game, but the title of the song, What Time Is It? Like a lot of the dance moves are like tick, tick, tick kind of
yeah,
dance moves. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I live for the drama. Like I want the most. I want to see that one dude with the braids that we see all the time back flipping off of a locker. Like give me the chaos.
yeah,
Like, oh my God. Loved it down. I just really would like this. And I love the fact that What Time Is It also takes a break. Like, I forgot that they sing, and then they're like, woo! And then you think it's over, and they're like, nope, they go outside and they sing again. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, shoot.
That's when I was like, okay, what are we doing? This is a little too Disney.
Yeah, but also like once again, we did in our first episode, we're gonna give our tens to Vanessa Hudgens, girl. I was like, ooh, Vanessa sounds so good on the song.
Yeah, I feel like I did say I think it's kind of funny how they're like, "Yay, summer, we're free," and then they immediately go and get summer jobs. I'm like, okay, what happened to freedom? But I guess at that age, you want money, you want money more. And then I also put that I'm mad that Sharpay went back to her hating ways. Like,
Yeah,
what happened to the character development at the end of the first movie? And that is what also just
that's
really
so
generally
Disney.
upsets me a lot about this movie is that like there was so much like there was a journey that was had in that first movie. There was so much like everybody had something to figure out about themselves, and then it feels like this second movie just kind of threw all that out the way. It was like, well, everybody is reset now. So like Sharpay is back to being a hater. I'm like, I you know, what happened to the character development? Like, y'all are completely, effing everybody up. This is so whack.
I know. I think that the only thing that stays consistent from the growth that we got in one into two is the fact that like Taylor, Kelsey, Gabriella, Martha, all of everybody's united. Chad's like not annoying, and
Yeah.
like the gang is pretty much united. And so it's like, Sharpay, give it the program. Like we said we were all in this together, but you backpedal, and that kind of just defeats the whole purpose of the whole thing. Like we could have had a summer romance between Sharpay and Zeke. Oh, you gave me those cookies? Now we're booed
Right.
up. Like, girl.
Like, ugh. And then I also put in my notes, like, I feel like the characters aren't acting like they're supposed to. Like, just the way the movie was written, the lines, like, it's all just, it felt a little bit too cheesy, a little bit too animated, too Disney, I guess. Like, it, everybody was just like, you know, I don't know. It was just something about it just sort of has a slight uncanny valley feeling for me in this movie. Like, they're a little bit too cliche. They're a little bit too cheesy. Everything's a little too over the top, too exaggerated,
Right. And I'm
And
on the other hand being like, yes, give me the drama.
yeah. I just feel
But
like, also, I don't want it to seem like I, like, think this is an awful movie. Because, like, if High School Musical 2 never came after High School Musical 1, like, if High School Musical 2 is the first movie, then I'd be all over it. But, like, I think I'm just going off of what we experienced and what we went through in High School Musical 1 and putting that into, perspective of what's going on in 2. It just feels incongruent.
what does that mean?
Incongruent. Incongruous. Incompatible.
Wow. You learn something new every
It
day.
says, what does it mean to be incongruent? Not suitable or not fitting well with something else.
Okay, then you totally use that word appropriately. Well, I also feel like one of the best parts that started off this whole thing was that even though Sharpay like went back to her ways, we are once again seeing Gabriella being again hashtag unbothered by Sharpay shenanigans. And she's like, "Oh yeah, thanks for all your help, during the musical, Sharpay." She's like,
Yeah.
you really help with those vocal exercises. Not like, oh, we know that was Gunty.
Yeah.
Sharpay banging up against the locker, like, ooh, like, yeah, Gabriella, you do that, you eat that. And then after they have that moment, then the gang is walking down the hallway, getting ready to leave school, talking about their plans, like you said, for their summer jobs. Chad wants to get a new car. Zeke wants to continue to keep elevating his baking experience. And then Troy has a surprise for Gabriella, which I find is so cute. And once again, it just shows like how infatuated he is with her. And he gets her this little cute necklace that has the initial T on it. And me and Janae, I feel like, used to always quote this moment all the time when he gives her the necklace and she sees it. She's like, T isn't Troy.
Yeah. That was so iconic and such a cute necklace, too.
It is. T is in Troy. Like, there's just something so cute about him, like, being like, that's my girl. Like, I want to, put a stamp on it. Like, I like that we didn't give, like, promise ring or anything too serious. It was just, like, a cute little necklace. And it was
Yeah.
like, that's so sweet. And then after they have their little T is in Troy, then we get to see that Sharpay and Ryan during their summers, they spend it at the country club that their mom and dad own. And we get to see a little bit of that. And we learn that Sharpay has a talent show that she throws every summer and wins every summer, which is insane. And we jump into Sharpay being like, I'm ready for the summer because I just want to be fabulous. I want to sit in the shade, have a dip in the pool, a trip to the spa. Goodbye, clouds of gray. Hello, skies of blue. Like, what the freak? I'm ready to get crunk.
I do think Fabulous is an iconic Sharpay song. Like, I do like it. Yeah, iced tea imported from England.
Towels imported from Turkey and turkey imported from Maine. The wordplay on this whole song, I used to just be so obsessed with when we were young. Like, yes, towels imported from Turkey, turkey imported from Maine. Like, summer like never before. Like, I want more. Like, just because it's like at the end of the day, even though we're technically not supposed to live for Sharpay, me being kind of just like the type of kid I was, it's like, once again, I love the drama. I love the theatrics. I just love everything that comes with being extra and just being like, who the frick are you? I'm a brat when I'm up in that. Like, she just gives brat. She just gives brat lore. Like, she just gives like, I'm that girl, you're not. It is what it is. And it's just something that, like, at the end of the day, I can respect at the same time. Like, as bitchy as she is, it's like I live though. Like at the end of the day, I live.
Yeah.
So seeing Sharpay being like, I want fabulous, the whole number ate down. Shout out to the fact that Sharpay has a black friend. I know that's right. Like, what? And then like Ryan, his part in Fabulous was just like everything. I love the fact that he's on the song, and like the theatrics that he does during this whole number are just so good. And like the choreography and the cinematography and the way that they shoot and move through this entire number is just like so elevated. You can see the growth between that and High School Musical. The first one, like Kenny Ortega took lessons and he said, how can I elevate and exaggerate? And I personally live for it. So that was everything. And she's just like, okay, after she sings Fabulous, she's like, okay, we're going to get into the gags. I'm ready to sit back, relax. You know, the new lifeguard is going to know exactly what I need to rotate my umbrellas around the clock as the sun moves. We're getting into it. Yeah. And then she realizes that the new lifeguard is Gabriella, which of course is because when Troy got offered the job opportunity, Sharpay wanted Troy singularly to work at the club. But then Troy was like, ooh, I know a fabulous girl, straight A's. Why don't you hire her too? Oh, and matter of fact, gang got the hammer and the wrench. Let's bring the whole squad. So
Matter of
Sharpay did
fact, where's
not.
everybody from?
No, literally, matter of fact, where's everybody from? So she finds out that not only does Gabriella work there, but Troy and the rest of the gang pull up. And she's like, I'm not having any of this. So then she causes a scene because she sees Gabriella and Troy making little starry eyes at each other, hard eyes. She pretends to have a accident, falls into the pool. Gabriella's like, I got you. And then Troy's like, oh my God, like you work here too? No, Troy, this is my place, my stomping grounds. Get the freak. So that was pretty funny. And
Yeah.
Sharpay is like talking to her mom and being like, Ryan, talk some sense into the mom. Every interaction that Ryan had with his mom was so funny to me.
Yeah. I also wanted to say, I don't know if you can include like a clip in the video version of this podcast. But during Fabulous, when Troy finally walks into the like country club, I just found it so funny and just so like, of course, over the top and exaggerated the way he walks in and he's like looking around. I don't know. He just looks good.
Like a
It just,
kid.
yeah, it just looks. It was just really funny to me. It tickled me. So, if you can include a clip of it, but yeah. And I also put Gabrielle looks stunning as per usual because she looks so cute in that red bathing suit. I'm like,
Yeah.
she's just such a stunner, such a star. But I also put that I don't like how they're rebranding Gabriella as almost being clueless. I think like a little too naive of a character, too nice, and I feel like they're rebranding her to be clueless, especially towards Sharpay's like rudeness and stuff. Because Sharpay's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "I'm the new lifeguard," and I don't know. Like, there's
But I
one
think at the end of
being
the day,
nice is
though,
one thing, but like, I feel like you know who Sharpay is. You've been at the school with her for so long. Like, I get that apparently she's only just now starting to be mean again, but like, you know who this is. Like, you don't be clueless, you know?
right. But I would say that I always looked at it from a different perspective. That Gabriella is actually playing the game back on her. Because in the way that she was like, yeah, you helped me with exercises. Ma. Like, I don't know. I feel like that was passive aggressive on
I
Gabriella's
think that was
end.
supposed to be genuine.
I've never looked at it like that. I've always been like, no, Gabriella is not stupid. Like, she's playing like the long game with Sharpay and choosing to like rise above, and she peeps all the crap that she does and she just chooses to kill her with kindness.
Mm,
But you see it a different way.
yeah.
So after that, Sharpay is really upset. And her mom is just like, no, like, we're not getting rid of your, classmates. Like, you're supposed to want to work with them and want to be around them. Like, these are supposed to be your buddies. But like I said in the first episode, Sharpay doesn't really have any like true friends. So she doesn't really want to be around these people. And she goes to Mr. Fulton and she's like, well, if my mom and dad like won't get rid of the Wildcats and only keep Troy, then you should make them want to quit. And then from that point, Mr. Fulton basically becomes op number one and makes everyone's lives just harder and is like really tough on the kids. When they're trying to just have fun in the kitchen, he's like, cut the noise. I don't even want to see you guys smiling. I want everybody to be dreary and depressed up in here and hashtag work because I'm not playing with y'all. I'm like, dang, you did your job a little bit too well. Like, what the freak? Like, Mr. Fulton took that serious, babes. And so because he was so like mean and just harsh and being like, this, and this, everybody fall in line, like no smiling, no laughing, no dancing, no goofing around. Everybody was kind of just like, dang, like this sucks. We actually don't want to be here and we don't want to work here. And Mr. Fulton is a drag. And then of course Troy is like, come on guys, like it's not that bad, which again is like, to Janae's point, a little cornball. But at the end of the day, once again, for the musical theater of it all and the drama, I lived for it. And they go into Work This Out. That is one of my favorite songs, like for High School Musical, period, just because the song is just like so much fun. It's so upbeat. Like the song just always makes me smile and just always gives me so much energy. I just remember being young and like dancing around to this song. Like it's just always made me so happy. I've always loved Work This Out. And the fact that once again, with the basketball of it all, they incorporate like kitchen utensils. Martha's in there cutting a rug. Like the gang is in there like tapping on the glasses, the pots and the pans. Like Troy said, let's turn up, y'all. And everybody turned up. And Gabriella said, look, Troy said turn up. So we're gonna turn up. I was like, yeah, that's right. Be right side beside your man.
Yeah, I think Work This Out is one of the best songs from that movie, and it's just such a good scene, such a, like you said, yeah, it is a little like cheesy a little bit, and it's like, but yeah, I'll let that one slide. I'll let it slide.
Yeah, like it's just done so well. And it's such a creative scene, in my opinion, with once again the way that they filmed it and the way that they involved everybody. Like Taylor riding by, this suits my style. Lunch around the pool a while. Make a date with my favorite girl. Oh, we gotta work.
And
Like, yes.
I also just love the fact that it's actually Zac Efron singing now instead of Drew
Yes.
Seeley singing for him.
Yup. Zac Efron did well in this movie with his vocals. And once they were done singing Work This Out, he's like, okay, can we work it out, guys? Like, regardless of how Mr. Fulton is gonna treat us this summer, can we just push through and just try to make it? And Chad's like, yeah, we can. And shortly after they finish singing that, they go into the hallway, and That's when Gabriella and Troy hear Kelsey playing on the piano, and she's like, "Oh, I actually wrote a song for you too, so that you could potentially perform in the talent show." And once again, our girl Kelsey just always coming through, always just being a sweetie. I think it was so sweet that she wrote a song in mind for Troy and Gabriella. And it was just so interesting how Troy was like, the musical, that was it. Like, I forgot that going to High School Musical 2, he kind of was just like, that was just a one time thing. Like, I forgot that that was his mindset. Like, according to Troy, I was saying one time publicly and it was a one and doneer. So it's a chop, Kelsey. I'm not doing that. But then Gabriella's like, well, like she did write us a song. Like, let's at least hear it and sing it. And then they're like, oh, wow, like it's actually a good song. And next thing you know, the rest of the Wildcats come in and everybody joins in. And they're like, yeah, we should participate in the musical. So, I mean, in the talent show. So that was a nice scene as well.
Yeah, it's just so, like you said, just so sweet of Kelsey to just always have trying Gabriella in mind. And, you know, You Are the Music in Me is such a good song just in general. And yeah, I do think, though, in the scene, there's mixing of, they're doing the same thing that they did in the first movie where they're like, Gabriella singing, slash Vanessa Hudgens. She's singing most of it, but then there's this other woman voice that like comes in at certain points, I guess, to like, fix the notes that Vanessa didn't sing that well. And same for, Zac Efron, Troy. And it just sort of really takes you out the moment, at least for me. Because I'm
It
like,
did.
this is just so like, it's not y'all, you know? Like, that's
I
just
also
so
like the fact
whack.
that they had Kelsey singing though. Kelsey's
Na
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 na na na
na. Yeah,
na 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 na. Yeah, I'm like Kelsey, you were the singer.
I know.
But I do agree that that does kind of take you out of the moment with that. But it's like the moment of the song is so sweet. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
Mom and Dad. After the You Are the Music and Me, it's we fast forward, and that's when Sharpay really starts like upping her antics. And she's like, okay, now that I know that Gabriella's here and all these other stupid wildcats, I'm going to just turn it up and really, really try hard to secure Troy this summer. So what does she do? She forces Chad and Troy to meet her parents and caddy for them. And then after the caddying, she also forces Troy to have dinner with her parents, knowing that he has a girlfriend, which is so whack.
Yeah. I do want to say the part where um they golf, she invites Troy and, subsequently Chad to like caddy for them while they're golfing with Sharpay, Ryan, and then Sharpay and Ryan's mom and dad. And I just felt kind of bad for Ryan in this moment because I'm like, I put hashtag justice for Ryan because he's really giving Forgotten Child in like this
Yeah.
movie. And like up to this point, he was really giving like, I'm just along for the ride for whatever Sharpay does. And I was like kind of really upset about that because that is also like a stark difference from the first movie because Sharpay was, of course, more so in the lead in the first movie, but her and Ryan were so much more closer to being equals. Like they equally wanted these parts. They equally were enthusiastic about the drama club. Like they equally knew that they were the top two. But like now it's just sort of giving like Ryan's not even being considered anymore. And, he's just sort of being Sharpay's, little pet basically. And that just really bothered me about how they made his character do that. Thankfully, it comes around, spoilers, towards, the middle slash end of the movie. He breaks free from that, no pun intended. And, but yeah, like, It was just really bothering me.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that he really is forced into that like quote unquote pet role because Sharpay is like, oh, actually skip all the plans that we had this summer and the plans that we have like every summer. I'm focusing on Troy. So then inherently, like she forced her parents to focus on Troy because she's like, Daddy, look at this Troy guy. Mommy, look at this Troy guy. And then I'm like, hello? But I do like the fact that whenever Ryan was around, though, like his parents always made sure to still, show him some attention. Like when
Yeah.
he was, doing yoga with his mom and the facials, like she acknowledges, and treats him well instead of being like, the way that Sharpay is, because that would have been sucky if she would have been like, shut up, Ryan. And the parents would be like, yeah. Because like some parents in media, like on My Wife and Kids, they call their kids dumb. And you're like, golly, but at
Yeah.
least her parents were nice about it. And like even when he landed, like Sharpay's dad got off the helicopter, he was like, oh, you're looking good, son, like you're working out. And he's like, yoga. I was like, oh. And he
Yeah.
just always made sure that Ryan had the perfect form and fixed his hat for him and little things like that where you're like, you could tell he adores his son. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so cute though. But I do get your point, like it does become mostly Troy focused because of Sharpay's antics, and that's really annoying. But then like the whole caddying of it all was also like so infuriating because you see Sharpay's like devilish like demon time plans, but at the same time it was like kind of funny because like her like shooting the ball towards Chad and Chad's like ducking and dodging. Like Chad was
Yeah.
fighting for his life, child. That was crazy. And then after she not only like forces them to caddy and then they go and they have dinner, then she makes Troy promise to sing with her in front of her entire family and company, which is, I feel like, so manipulative.
Right.
But it's like, am I surprised? No. But is it still enraging? Yes. Like, girl, your mama and daddy right here, and I'm supposed to say no.
Right.
And then on top of that, after the dinner, he's like, okay, thank God. I've basically spent the entire afternoon with Sharpay on the clock. On the clock. You're forcing me to work with you. So I clocked out and I'm thinking, great, I'm free. I have a date with Gabriella. No, no, Mr. Fulton takes her away and he takes Troy away. He's supposed to be meeting up with Gabriella. He keeps telling Mr. Fulton, trying to set boundaries. Hey, I have a date. I'm off the clock. I have a date.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, come with me. And then once again, Sharpay continues to hold Troy hostage for this evening and forces him to watch her perform Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apawa'a when he's already an hour late for his date with Gabriella.
Yeah. I found it interesting that this part was in the movie. Usually when they show it on TV, this is not in there. This is usually
Oh,
a
really?
deleted scene. Yeah. But I know Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apawa'a well because we had the High School Musical 2 CD when we were little, and for some reason, little 7-year-old autistic me,
That was your jam.
this
And
was
I
my
wasn't going to argue
favorite.
it.
This was my favorite song on the album for some reason. And
we used to be jamming together.
Yeah, I mean, it was more. Yeah, I have no clue, but my little autistic brain was like, "This song is everything." And yeah,
Again.
was my favorite song on the High School Musical 2 soundtrack when I was 7. So there you go, a little bit of Janae lore.
Yes, I also thought that with this being the scene that at least is in the version that we watched on Disney Plus that was kept in. Once again, Troy is just like living it up and just adding the theatrics and like
He's just
obviously
so confused
and disturbed.
Yeah, by like this whole Sharpay. Basically, she just put on a whole private show for him performing this weird song, and I don't know. It was just
and
so
says
strange.
we're gonna perform the song together, even though Ryan is technically supposed to be
right.
Troy's
He was supposed
part.
to be, yeah. And then
so then it's so funny because then towards the end, Ryan's like, oh, girl, this is supposed to be our number, not Troy. So he's like
Right.
visibly upset during the performance too.
At the end when she
Yeah.
is like, "Oh no, not you, Ryan. It's Troy." And then I also said Sharpay and Ryan are 2 for 2 on the cultural appropriation in the
Yup.
movies. Last movie it was Bob to the Top with the Latina influence. Now it's, being like, Islander type
Pacific
appropriation.
Islander
Yeah.
appropriation.
I'm like, y'all are white. What do you know about
Ah. Yeah, it's a really interesting number, and why on earth would she think that Troy would want to perform this number out of every number that you could have pulled is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But he was not feeling it, and I just love how Troy makes it, like I said in the first movie, known from the very beginning that he is not interested in Sharpay. Like the whole day, it was obvious. But he, at the end of the day, I feel for Troy because it's like he's not rude, and he's not gonna be like, "Get the fuck out my face and leave me alone, Sharpay." He's not gonna. He's not that type of guy to just
Yeah.
say that. Which I know a lot of guys that are that way. They're when the girl's bothering them, they're not gonna have a problem with saying it. But Troy's not that type of guy, so he's just constantly like, "Okay, fake laugh," and like never really knows how to navigate it. So that you just really feel for him, and you're just like almost like secondhand embarrassment, cringe, where it's like, oh god, like if I were Troy, I would just feel so awkward. Like this is just awful, because at the end of the day, like she's forcing you in these situations where you're with the owners of the place that you work at. So what are you going to do? Say no? Like you're having dinner basically with the CEOs. So then that makes you feel like you're forced to be there. And then the whole nuka nuka apple out of it all is just like insanity. And so not only is he is forced in this day, the same day to caddy, dinner, humu, then on top of that, he has to go still on his date with Gabriella, and she's like sitting there waiting, and then he jumps in the pool, and then of course, I said in the first episode of this series, I just love every single little moment that we get with Troy and Gabriella flirting. So it was just so cute, the little bit of moment that we had between them before it was ruined, of them swimming together. And then Mr. Fulton is like, get the frick out the pool. This is but did they already have the dinner on the golf course before that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so technically they've already had dinner on the golf course, and then that was the first strike one of them getting in trouble, and then strike two of them getting in trouble was them swimming after hours in the pool. And then Mr. Fulton, of course, is only holding Gabriella responsible and not Troy. And Troy, shout out to him, is multiple times being like, don't blame Gabriella for this. These two incidents have been my fault, but Mr. Fulton ain't trying to hear that because
Yeah.
Troy's the one that can't do any wrong in Sharpay's eyes. So that sucks. And then after they have their little moment in the pool and get caught, then Sharpay ups the antics even more and promotes Troy to teach a kid's golfing class. And in turn, he gets access to club benefits and he gets his own golf cart, but he can't use any of those benefits with any of the Wildcats, which is really
Whack.
annoying. And he gets new leather shoes and all of this stuff. So once again, Troy's kind of just like, this is overwhelming. This is crazy of an opportunity. I thought I was going to be washing dishes with Chad. Like, I thought we were all I was going to be with the rest of my teammates and the rest of my classmates, but now I'm being promoted. So Troy is the only one who has a different job than the rest of them, other than like Taylor, because she's an event coordinator. So he's like obviously a little bit uncomfortable with that idea, but what can he do? Like, it's his employer. Your employer tells you're going to be teaching a kid's golf, class. Okay, I guess I'm teaching the golf class.
Right.
And that's when Sharpay wheels her way into the class, acts like she doesn't know how to play golf, and Taylor catches her. She said, "You know what? I'm one to you."
I know that face you made was so funny.
Literally, like, girl, like, would you please leave him alone? That man don't want you. And then of course it's like she's pretending like she doesn't know how to play, so then he like technically has to like give in and teach her how. And of course, it's like the worst possible timing, like his arm around her, like teaching her how to hit the golf ball. And Gabriella and Taylor are looking like, okay. So that was really frustrating to watch as well. And then after that, he also gets to have lunch with college basketball players. So she is just like feeding him crumb after crumb and just forcing his hand. She's like, not only did you get to be a club, member at this point now and get a better job than washing dishes, but I'm also going to hook you up with a future college opportunity. Also, you can sing with me and want to be my boyfriend. So here's some college basketball players. Go ahead and kiki with them. And he's kikiing with them, talking about golfing. Chad comes over. Jason comes over. They go and serve them food. Chad's like, oh, yay, like basketball players, college basketball players. You're going to introduce me, is what his face is looking like he's thinking. And you think that Troy's gonna be like, oh, here's my friend, like Chad. But he's like, oh no, I want a cheese on this.
Yeah, that was crazy. But
that was a crazy moment.
I also felt like it's another moment of just the characters acting so out of character for themselves. Like, Troy from the first movie I put would absolutely not have switched up this fast. Like, I just don't understand, like, how it just feels like Troy is like, no, I'm loyal to my friends. And then, like, something gets dangled in front of him. And then he's like, oh, wait, what friends? It's like they're making it act like he has no backbone, basically. And, like, he doesn't, like, this is the same guy who was singing Work This Out. You mean to tell me that he would just so quickly, like, forget about all that and just be like, yeah, leather shoes and golf and college basketball? Like, Troy from last movie would not have switched up this fast. He would not have gotten this lost, I think. So it just is also confusing to me because I'm like, what are they doing to my boy? What are they doing to Troy? Why did they write him like this?
Yeah, but I think also at the same time, I thought about that too. But then again, Troy was conflicted about that as well. And he did consider, do I switch up and grasp at these opportunities dangled in front of me? And he talked to his dad about it. And then his dad was like, shoot, once again, I feel like every
Dad
time
forever being the freaking devil on Troy's shoulder.
No, literally,
like,
because it's
please.
like, yeah, because even in the first movie, he's like, we noticed he's trying to talk to his dad, and his dad's like, college scholarships. So Troy tried to talk to his dad about this too, and he's like, basically like, hey, bruh, take every chance you got, get your scholarships. It ain't your fault, you're the chosen one. Like, yeah, heavy on it. So then that's when Troy's like, okay. And then like fully went left and leaned into it. It's like, sweetie, you could have had a little bit of balance. So like you could have took your dad's advice and maybe leaned into the opportunities, but to go so as far as not even introducing Chad to
Crazy.
the basketball players was like, huh?
Yeah.
That was insane. And then like even after that, they're supposed to have like a staff baseball game that Troy said he was gonna come to. He forgot about that, and Gabriella's like, you forgot, didn't you? And then they were supposed to play 2-on-2 with Zeke, Jason, Chad, and Troy. He promised that they were going to play. He forgot about that. And then, next thing you know, the college basketball players are like, okay, like, you want to come and play basketball, with us at the college? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. But I'm like, you're supposed to play basketball with us, is basically what Chad is saying. And I just really thought that scene was like whack too. And then of course Jason's like, low key though, do you think, would y'all feel some type of way if I asked for one of those jackets? Like the way that they have Jason ask these random questions be so funny, bro.
Yeah, I think that's another part where I'm just like, you know, and then Chad's like, you know, you don't think we could come? And Troy's like, yeah, that's not their style. And
And
it's
I love that
like,
Chad didn't break down and be like, he was like, "What do you mean? What do you
yeah,
mean not their thing?
but
Like, what
it's
you mean closed practice?"
what? Why is this even an issue? Like I'm saying, like High School Musical 1 Troy would not have this problem. Like,
Asking, all
I
they could
get
do is
that.
say no. He didn't even
Not even,
ask.
yeah, but also just like, I don't think he would just be so easily swayed, just so tossed around like this, you know?
Yeah, it was really disappointing, and it's like you would think that. Okay, let's say I would think that up at this point, then Troy would be like, "Oh, maybe I'm tripping," but he
Right,
didn't. Even if it's like you would think that with Chad being like, "What you mean?" would have had him wake up,
right,
or like, or can we come? Would have had him wake up because when he got called about the opportunity to work there in the first place, he said, "Let the gang come." So
right.
when you go play basketball, can the gang come? Like, hello? Ain't nothing wrong with putting your bros on. They could very well. People have to forget that these colleges got money. So I know that Troy's dad was like, "There's only so many scholarships." But what if they were like, "Oh, we'll take you and Chad"? You never know.
Right.
Like, what the freak? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't like that. So then, of course, he bails on them. Said, "Skip the baseball game. Skip the 2-on-2. I'm gonna go turn up with my new crew." And that was really frustrating. So then they're like, "Okay, well, we're just gonna go to the baseball game, like skip Troy." And then as they're on their way, then that's when Gabriella and Taylor run into Ryan, and they're like, "Are you coming to the baseball game?" He's like, "No, I'm not a staff member." And she's like, "No, like everybody's invited." And that's when he gets into the Wildcat spirit, and we do "I Don't
I
Dance."
love, I just love Ryan becoming his own person and
Mm-hmm.
becoming a wildcat actually too. And then that's another thing that sort of upsets me about the next movie as well, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, Ryan has become a wildcat. He's like one of the bros. And yeah, and then we get into I Don't Dance, the iconic duet of Chad and Ryan. And I'm like, I wrote down, I'm like, now that I think about it, this whole scene and song is like actually kind of pretty unexpected. Like, if there was, so imagine if only High School Musical 1 was out, and then the only thing we ever heard about High School Musical 2 was like, yeah, and there's gonna be a song where Chad and Ryan are doing a duet. Like that's the
You'd
most
be like, "No, you're lying."
yeah, that's like the most unpredicted like duo. Like you would not have expected Chad of all people and Ryan to do a song together. So yeah, it's like that's a real crazy turning point that they put in the movie,
Yeah, they ate with
and
that.
as well as one of the best songs on the album. He better swing.
Swang. My favorite thing about the beginning of it is like Gabriella or Vanessa Hutchins' vocals on that.
Yes, I
Hey,
love
bada,
that.
bada, hey, bada, bada,
I love
swang.
that her back. She's on the backing vocals of that song. It's
Yeah, she's
yeah,
not throughout the whole thing, but at the beginning she is. And I'm like, that, it just used to do something to my ears.
yeah,
Like when we were young, I'm like, oh my God, I love this so much. It's so everything. Once again, they just hit the nail in the coffin with every musical number, in my opinion, on this motherfucking movie. Like, I Don't Dance is so well put together, so beautifully filmed. Like, all the shots are so good. Then on top of that, they're also playing a real game. I'm over here being like,
yeah.
let me keep score. Like, where home runs are being run. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
we are running to first, second, third base. Like, that's also crazy to me. They didn't just break out into random number and abandon the game. No, they're still playing the game. They're still actively playing baseball as they're doing this number and then taking breaks halfway to go doom, 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 and bust a move at the same time. And then
And
like
then
when
just the whole like jazz of it all and the jazz number.
yes, such
I'm
a good
like,
twist.
this is great. I like this.
Yeah, I could live in like I don't dance like for a minute. Like, oh, it's just so good. And then just like seeing Gabriella and Taylor on the side, like Taylor rooting for her man. Like I know that's right.
Gabriella rooting for her man,
Ooh,
Ryan.
hashtag question mark because it got a little crazy.
Yeah,
It got a little
things got a
crazy.
little, you know,
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Side eye, bombastic side eye.
Yeah,
But everything about it is so iconic, and just like the fact that it's just so like satire at the same time, just for the fact that like Corbin Blue is honestly one of the best dancers of the main cast
yeah.
in real life, and ironically is being like, I don't dance, but like perfectly hitting toe touches at the same time. You're like,
And that's how you
whoa.
play a character. That's how you play a character.
No, for real.
Because you really would have, he really would have you believing, like, I don't do this. But then you're like, wait, actually, you do because you're in this movie.
Right, like he hit a plie, and now I'm
All
confused.
right.
Like you could tell he's like classically trained down. And on top of that, Chad looks so good in that little outfit with that little hat, his hair and his little puff. Like,
Yeah. After that, Ryan sort of gets indoctrinated as a wildcat officially. And I'm
they
just
eat
like,
lunch and switch outfits.
I love that. I love Ryan's wildcat era. Like, this is what I wanted from you. You're more than Sharpay's little pet,
Right. Like, you deserve to be able to have friends
Right.
outside of her, and we love to see that. And it just speaks like volumes to like the spirit of the rest of the Wildcats. Like now that we've gotten past like sticking to the status quo, it's become like a welcome safe space. Like everybody
Yeah.
just wants to just all be literally all in this together. So it's just so beautiful to see them like embrace Ryan. And then like I said, Chad and Ryan switching outfits is always just like the biggest thing that people talk about with High School Musical too. It's so iconic and funny. Yeah, so that part of the like movie is so good. And then after that, of course, Troy continues to fumble the bag and gets caught up at the gym, and he ends up not even meeting up with Gabriella. He never makes it to the baseball game. And because of that, the next day, Troy comes in, and then Chad and Troy get into an argument because it's like, what was that yesterday? You don't introduce me. You don't even ask them if we can come play. You don't come to the baseball game. And honestly, you've been acting like weird this whole summer so far. So, like, what's the tea? So, I understand why, everyone is frustrated with him, but especially Chad. And he's like, if I don't know you and who you're becoming, then nobody does. Because we've been friends since preschool. So, like, what is the problem? And then Troy is just being stubborn here and being like, I don't care. Skip you.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? Like, you freaking work this out. Like, what type of monster have the writers of this movie created? What is going on?
No, for real. And then after that, that's when he gets whisked away, and Sharpay forces Troy again to do something against his will and practice the new version of You Are the Music in Me that she had done. And once again, she's always playing at Kelsey's face and performing her arrangements in a key in a completely different direction that Kelsey did not intend for it to be. She specifically said, no, I don't want to give you this song because I wrote it for Gabriella and Troy. And Sharpay said no. And though as much as like the principle of it I dislike, Sharpay kind of did eat with this version though. I'm not gonna say it was bad.
No, it wasn't bad.
It's just so funny because once again, Troy is like, you ever just sing just for fun? Like you doing the most.
Right.
Because he's like, when I am my favorite song, I know we belong. And he's like so confused during the whole rehearsal.
Yeah.
And then after they perform You Are the Music in Me, then that's when Ryan decides to be like, you know what? Yeah, we play baseball together. I'm really feeling these Wildcats. I'm going to join them and help them with their talent show because now that Sharpay is doing the talent show with Troy and I'm kicked off to the side, I'm just going to do the talent show with them. And then that's when she sees that the Wildcats and Ryan are, rehearsing for the talent show. And she's like, ooh, side eye. And on top of that, Troy catches it as well. And he like didn't even know that they were participating in the talent show as well. So he's kind of like, dang. That's the one time where he kind of is like actually decides to kind of wake up and be like, okay, like I'm excluded from this. I didn't know this was going on. You would have if you went to the baseball game.
Right.
You would have known what was going on. Or if you would have set boundaries with Sharpay sooner instead of just being easily swayed. And there's also that like funny moment where he also realizes that, dang, like everybody's kind of doing things without me, which is like, so I feel like at the same time entitled though, because it's like you expect everybody to just like mannequin challenge while you're out living your life.
Right.
You think the world's gonna freeze and they're not gonna.
Right.
Like, I'm so confused.
Like, people are moving on with their time.
Right. Like, the world's not revolving around Troy. We're not going to sit around and wait for you. And I think maybe that's almost what he thought they were going to do. But that's not the case. And including your girl, because she's being swirled and twirled around by Ryan poolside, and he catches them.
Yeah,
and
they're like,
oh, hey.
Gabriella and Ryan have this moment where, they sort of are talking, and she's like, oh, can you teach me that dance you did? And then they sort of start dancing together, and he like twirls her, and they're laughing and giggling, and then Troy like walks up, and they're like, oh, hi. And then,
and Gabriella's not too happy to see him because she's like #over it at that point.
Yeah. And then Ryan's like, oh my God, after the baseball game, we had dessert. Her, Gabriella's mom, she makes the best brownies. And then Troy immediately is like, yeah, I know, I've had them. And I'm like, okay. Like,
now there's tension between Ryan and Troy officially.
Yeah, but it's like, it ain't my fault you ain't get the brownies.
No, for real. You could have ate them if you would have came.
Right.
And maybe I wouldn't be hugged up on your girl, but you snooze, you lose.
Exactly.
No, like I used to live for that tension because it's like, you had it coming, buddy. Don't sit up here and try to get short with me and cut me out. I'm like, yeah, I had them. Like, no, act like you know, fall in line.
Right.
So that was really interesting. And then, yeah, so now Troy realizes, okay, everybody is moving on in my absence and I'm missing a lot of what's going on with my friends and my girl. And I don't know, I feel like I'm so detached from what they have going on and they feel detached from what Troy has going on. And then on top of that, they're all practicing the, talent show. So Sharpay is like, oh no, sweetie. So she ends up telling Mr. Fulton, make it so that only staff members can participate in the talent show. And now all the Wildcats
only
find out
about members, not staff.
Right. I mean, yeah, only members. Only members can participate in the talent show. So now all the Wildcats are like, dang, we've been rehearsing for nothing. Like, we can't participate. Like, this is whack.
Yeah.
And that's when Gabriella finds out about it. And this is another one of my favorite moments in this movie, because after Gabriella finds out about it and it's like, okay, this is clear that this is Sharpay's doing, she storms off, runs up. And this is why I'm saying, once again, I just feel like Gabriella's not stupid.
She said, "Nuck of your Buckington."
No, hashtag Nuck of your Buckington. Like, for real, if you want to run up, like, get done up. Like, you can stay, get your beat. You can stay, get your beat. You can stay, get your beat.
Yeah.
To JWoww, because like, what? And that's why I feel like, once again, Gabriella knows what she's doing. She knows that this is a game. So she runs up to Sharpay and she's like, girl, what is your problem? Like, you're trying to sabotage the talent show. Like, you really just been actually doing the most this whole summer, for real. And that's when Sharpay was like, well, you're ruining Troy's future by getting him written up and getting him in trouble. And Gabriella's like, girl, skip you. Like, if you have to do the most to, like, what's the prize? Troy, like the talent show award. Like, okay, if that's the tea, then you can keep it. Like, keep that trophy and keep Troy. Because if this is the game that you're playing, like, I don't want to play. And if you have to do all of this to get Troy's attention, then I'm out. Like, I really don't care. It's really not that serious for me, babes. And that's when she says, quote, "You better step away from the mirror long enough to check the damage that will always be right behind you." Woo!
Like, she ate with that. She called her a B word in every way, but one.
Like, what? Left, right, up, down.
Yeah.
Redder for filth. So much so to the point where Sharpay didn't even have a rebuttal.
Right.
She said,
talk about some
girls. It stormed off. And then coincidentally, Troy saw the whole thing happen. So he's like,
and he's like,
so
hey,
hey, how y'all doing? So after that, like, that's always gonna eat down. That is always gonna eat down. That's why we respect Gabriella for the queen she is. Like, she's, at the end of the day, when something needs to be get done and she has something to say or she wants to do something, nothing's gonna stop her. Not even Sharpay. Like, she cleared, she tore down. And then after that, Troy sees Gabriella, like we said, and he's like, "Girl, I don't want you to quit the job, you know?" And she's like, "Well, you know, just working together during the summer sounded fun and all, but like, you're acting brand new. Like, you're blowing off your friends, you're missing our dates." And Troy was like, "Well, like, come on, like, you know, I'm only doing this because I want, you know, the scholarship that Sharpay is offering me and these opportunities that she's giving me, you know, like, it's for my future." And she's like, quote, "But if along the way you act like someone you're not, pretty soon that's who you become."
Exactly. I think that's a very wise words to live by. Just, I feel like that needs to be like a major quote. Like, that's just so true. And yeah. And so after that, Gabrielle was like, "I gotta go my own way, I guess." And then she says,
And gives Troy his necklace back. T as in Troy, you can have it back.
T as in, we're done.
We're done.
And
Like, gotta go my own way as a number. I love, once again, the tears that are in Vanessa Hudgens' eyes as she's singing in her line delivery. Sold.
Yeah, very emotional, very raw. When I was little and I, didn't understand anything about life at all, I used to be so confused and like, I'm like, why is Gabriella just leaving so easily? Like, she can't just stay a little bit. I don't understand why she's, so upset. But now as an adult, I'm like, oh yeah, obviously. But
no, I get it. And I used to feel the same way. Like, I didn't understand the severity of it. And I used to always just think, like, Gabriella doesn't deserve Troy. Like, mind you, this is my problematic thinking as a literal kid. Same. Like, she needs to be a writer. She needs to hold it down. Like, why is she always so easy to just give up on them? But it's like, really, it'd be Troy
the
tripping.
thing she's been through, like, I'd be kind of skeptical about everybody's loyalty too at this point.
Right. Like, you, not only has he's blown her off multiple times at this point, he's made multiple promises. They supposed to go to the movies. They supposed to do this. They supposed to do that.
Now he's walking around with his damn Italian shoes.
Right. And then she was feeling some type of way because she like, dang, he didn't even show me the shoes.
Right.
She said that. And then it doesn't help that Taylor's like, Yeah. So Gabriella's like, well, dang, I look crazy. And my girls ain't feeling it either. So I gotta do something. And now as an adult, it's like, no, Troy was playing too much. And it's not like multiple people, including Gabriella, didn't try to kind of be like, hey, like, what's the tea? You getting in a fight with literally fighting Chad. Like, we're all trying to get you to understand, like, you're tweaking a little bit. You didn't listen to anybody. So at this point, I don't think that it's extreme that she decided to quit. Cause it's like, what am I do? Keep walking around seeing this girl pressing all over my man? Right. I don't have time for that, sweetie. I really don't. I'm a scholar type of
Exactly.
student.
I'm a decathlon winner.
Right. I can literally get a job anywhere else. Like, I didn't
Right.
need you to help me get this job in the first place. So I'm like literally out of here. And now I get it, because if I were in Gabriella's position, like now as an adult, I'm like, girl, he was tired. You want to sit up here and it's just so typical men. Now you want to cry. Why do you have to go? I'm trying to understand. You should have
Like,
tried to
you
understand
were
3 weeks ago.
understanding it like, 5-6 days ago. You didn't try and understand it then? Question mark.
No, like for real. Because she's like, well, promises are, that's a big word. Like, then on top of that, you got me in trouble.
Right.
Like, that's Troy's doing. So I do get it. I also just love like the vocals of them two going back and forth when Troy's saying like he's trying to understand. At the same time, though, I'm like, yes.
The most iconic duet that's ever duetted. What about us? What about everything we've been through? But what about trust? Like,
and then I never wanted to hurt you. Well, okay,
well,
but what about me?
though?
It doesn't matter what your intentions were. You did it. And that's the whole point of what she's trying to get through his thick skull in this moment.
And then he's talking about, what am I supposed to do? You figure that out. But I gotta leave.
And your Italian shoes.
I gotta leave, but I'm
the mom van pulled up and she said skirt.
Literally. Like, what about us? What about everything we've been through is always gonna be like, that's just such, like, if you know, like, that's just such an iconic moment in High School Musical history. Like,
I know. And Zac Efron sells it. The angst and the emotion that's in his face as well. Like, when he walks up behind her and he's just like, I'm trying to understand, like, embracing her and being like, please don't go. Like, oh my God. Like, girl, she stood on business, because I'd have been like, okay, never mind. Like, I would have wanted to fall for Troy. I'm not even going to care.
We all know you would have.
Of course. Wait. We all know you would have. No, shitty tea. So yeah, like they tore the best duet to ever duet, like you said. And after this, Gabriella said, deuces, no Chris Brown, and literally left. And then Troy is sad. And that is like the final moment that truly makes him be like, okay, maybe I am tripping, because now that my girl is gone, she done gave me the necklace back. I'm salty. Like, I'm really actually salty boots. And so
my girl is gone. My friends are gone.
Literally, like, his friends won't talk to him. Like you said, Gabriella's gone. He's second guessing that the person he's become this summer. And then he's in his room. He's playing with the ball, and he's just like so sad. And he's like asking his dad again, like, do you think I'm a different person this summer? And his dad just basically just like tries to give him comfort again. He's like, you'll figure it out. Like, you always know what to do. So after that, he goes to work.
Wow, thanks.
Literally. And then he goes to work the next day and he gets breakfast. Everybody in the kitchen does not want to talk to him. And he sits down. Everybody leaves the table except for Kelsey, because she's just a precious little bean. And she slides him the paper and she's like, here you go. See the tea. And that's when he finds out that the staff can't participate in the talent show. And so he's like, okay, I've also again had enough. No one's talking to me, and I find out about the talent show. Like, my friends are screwed.
True final straw.
Yeah, his true final straw. Because now that Gabriella's gone, and then on top of that, that was just the icing on the cake. He storms off. He sings "Bet on It." He sings "Bet on It," and we all know. Like, I feel like culturally, "Bet on It" has become such a staple. You guys have seen Trisha Paytas literally do a cover of "Bet on It." Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny and it's so unserious. And if we're comparing his like mental breakdown song compared to "Get Your Head in the Game" versus "Bet on It," I'm sure you're gonna choose "Get Your Head in the Game."
I think lyrically and just emotionally, "Bet on It" is better. But like, I kind of like the scene of "Get Your Head in the Game" more, because the "Bet on It" scene is just like you're stomping around
picking up grass
on the golf course wearing this black polo. and these like, van type shoes. Like
Your fitted jeans.
it's just so unserious. Like it's so hard to take him, seriously. He's like, stomping and, thrashing his arm, picking up the sand and dramatically dropping the sand.
Looking at himself and his reflection in the
I
water,
know,
singing to himself.
Right. It's
the reflection and the water part had me laughing out loud.
Yeah.
I was like, really, not the CGI. Like,
I mean, it's like
it's climbing on rocks.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just so drama. And Bet on It is probably his most iconic breakdown song, but like,
out of Get Your Head in the Game, Bet on It, and Scream.
Yeah, I think Scream is the best. Bet on It is, I think, most iconic, and Get Your Head in the Game is like the second most. I feel like culturally people like Bet on It more than Get Your Head in the Game. Maybe, I don't know.
I do. I think so.
I'm not a human surveyor, but
that's the most I've seen is people talk about Bet on It.
I just put that I couldn't take him seriously. Like, he just looked like he looked so cute, just stomping around and jumping off of stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's right, Troy. You are going to bet on it. You are the type of guy who means what you say. Like, aw. I couldn't take it seriously as like, oh, wow. Troy he's angry. He's fierce. It's just like, oh, look at him.
He's struggling. He's just going through teen angst, It just makes you feel for him. And you're like, oh, buddy.
Yeah.
It's like this little buddy. He's so lost. And I think.
And he's like, I'm not going to stop. That's who I am. And just like,
that is my plan. Will I end up on top? You can bet on it.
Such an uplifting song that you're singing to yourself.
It is.
We love positive affirmations.
That's what it was.
Literally.
It was a love letter to himself, being like, listen, I got what it takes to figure this out. I got to step up and I got to take accountability in my part in this.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that they finally had a moment where Troy had like thrashing around on the whatever he needed to do to get out of his system. They let him do it. He used to
run angrily through the golf course.
Yeah, if that's what it takes for him to wake up from this hellish dream that he's been serving everybody, to get back to himself and like, okay, I'll take it, And once again, just going on like a deeper level with like the message that it's sending to children. I just think that it's nice to see that you can grow. Like, you can be a little bit confused and do things that aren't normally you, but it's showing that it's okay, that you can take accountability and grow from it. And I think that's like a good message that it's sending, where it's like, no, like everybody deserves to have redemption. Everybody deserves to, be forgiven, especially if you are showing that like, no, I'm willing to take accountability and make this right. So I love that Troy is like, after this moment, like, I'm ready to do what I need to do to step up and mend things. And yeah. And I also just love that the fact that once he was like done singing, he gets his clarity and he makes up with Chad, and he's just like, I'm sorry, and Chad's like, it's okay, bro. Like, oh, because I really thought that Chad was going to give him a hard time when I first had watched this, like, back in the day. I was like, I don't want Chad to be, like, stubborn and be like, nah. Because he could have, by the way that Troy was acting.
Right.
But no, Bet on It is just so iconic. And then after he was done with it, he was like able to get that clarity. He apologized to Chad, like I said. And then he told Sharpay that he's not going to perform with her. And he, told her, like, I don't like the way that you've been treating my friends. I don't like the way I've been treating my friends, which is such a good point for him to put in. Not only did he tell her, like,
taking accountability,
but he said, I effed up. And she was like, what the freak? So I'm not going to do it. And then that's what Sharpay was like, okay, Ryan, like, well, then you can perform with me again. And then he's like, no,
Ryan's
like, you told me to sell my costume and I sold it.
Like, I'm not your freaking pet anymore.
Exactly. So I really, really loved that Ryan stood up to her in that way as well. And he was like, that's showbiz. Like, he's literally like, karma's a bee. At
He's
the end of
like,
the
love
day, no
you
JoJo
though.
Siwa. Literally. Like, you played yourself. You played yourself. Not me. Love you though. Kisses. And strutted away as the king he is. I know that's right, Ryan. And then I also love the fact that Troy apologized to Ryan too. Like, he was on an apology tour.
Yeah, and see, that's what I just put. The fact that Troy always comes to his senses in the end, though. He's such a good person at his core.
Yeah.
Like, it just sucks that he got a little lost and, misguided in between, but like, he just knows how to come through and like just be a man. Like, I just love that. I love that he, like, he's just such a, in a world of Jasmine and Troy. Like, he's just such a good guy. He's such a good person, like, deep inside.
Yeah. Like, he didn't, it takes a lot to just even want to apologize to Ryan, like, especially after, like, the whole eating Gabriella's mom's brownies of it all. Like, that tension could have still been palpable, but he's like, no, I'm gonna cut it out.
He's like,
Like,
you know what? Shout out to you for taking care of my goyle whilst
yeah.
I was being a little crazy.
Yeah, and I just like the way that he even like worded the apology, where he's just like, you whipped the Wildcats into shape. Like, I know that couldn't have been easy. Like, not only did he do that, but he like appreciated what Ryan did, like, for his friends as
Yeah.
well, and that was really sweet. Yeah, and after that, that's when Sharpay is like freaking out because she's like, "What am I gonna do? Am I gonna like?" Ryan says he doesn't want to perform with me anymore as well. So Troy said no. Ryan said no. What do I do? And then that's when Ryan was like, well, I don't want to see my sister crashing and burn completely, or at least I don't think I do, which was funny.
Yeah.
And he's like, so you should sing with her. So then that's when Troy goes over to Sharpay and she's literally crying a disheveled mess. I was like, girl, is it that serious? And he's like, fine, like, I'll sing with you, I promised. So she's like, okay. And then that's when they're like, all right, well, Sharpay changed the song. And Troy's like, okay. So then he rehearses the new song. And then after he finishes rehearsing the new song, he walks up to Sharpay and he's like, I didn't know you were going to change the song. And she's like, I didn't change the song. Plot twist. The Wildcats and Kelsey worked together to change the song and surprise Troy. So when Troy went up on stage and he sang this new song, next thing you know, he hears Gabriella, make it last forever. She sounded like an angel.
Came back for me, baby.
Literally. She sounded so beautiful.
I know.
And then there's just something that was just so striking and like powerful about hearing her before we see her again. Because you're like, where is she? Like, you get chills.
Yeah.
You literally get chills. And finally, she descends and he sees her and he's like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. That was so sweet of the Wildcats to call up Gabriella and have her come and, make amends with Troy. And then they sing that beautiful song together. And you see she's got her necklace back on.
Mm.
Yeah, she's still rocking back on my man. And what about it?
Yeah. And then all the rest of the Wildcats come on stage with them and they sing the song. And then somehow Sharpay always ends up being at the
Because
end.
once
I'm
again,
like,
Troy's
girl,
so
she
nice
didn't
and
even,
invite.
she didn't even deserve this turnaround at this point. She didn't deserve, like, last movie, she eventually was like, well, fine. But, like, up until the very last moment, she was being whack until as they were on the stage singing. And I'm like, okay, she didn't deserve it this time. She didn't deserve the reconcile and to be, seen as a part of the Wildcats. But, that's the Wildcats for you, Even if somebody is a little whack, they're so welcoming and so kind. And I love that.
Yeah, me too. I still, like I said, didn't feel like she even deserved the reconciliation in the first one either. I know you do, but I'm like, no, skip her. But that's because I'm just petty. So it'd have been F Sharpay until we graduate for me.
Yeah.
But Troy walked over and took Sharpay's hand. If I were Gabriella, I'd have been like, don't ever look at her again. Like, who are you? But
Yeah.
Gabriella ain't ever been tripping over Sharpay, so she's not threatened at that point.
Right.
And so Sharpay annoyingly joins in, and everybody's singing, every day together. And once they're done, then they go to award the winner for the Star Dazzle, and Sharpay gives it to Ryan.
I know.
So then it's like, okay,
Okay.
maybe
She had a little moment. She had a change of heart.
because I forgot she did that.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the payoff. Like, if they're gonna make her join everybody, that's the least she could have did.
Right.
So I thought that was really sweet of her. And yeah, and then after that, they have this little sweet moment where, they walk off onto the golf course and Sharpay is with her man, Zeke. Love to see
all the
them
Wildcats,
together.
they go onto the golf course together and they release these lanterns and, reminisce about summer. And then finally, we get our Troy and Gabriella kiss. I'm like, oh, I love
And
that.
that was a good kiss. I was like, oh my God. That, to this day, watching the kiss again, I'm like, yup, that's what you want in a movie kiss, period. I know that's right. And then it started like the sprinklers went off and it was just like so beautiful. As they kissed, they just let the lanterns go. The fireworks started. And I'm like, this is what dreams are made of. No Lizzie McGuire. And I just ate that down. And then once they're done with that, that's when they go into singing All for One. The pool is closed and they're able to just have fun all together. Once again, didn't love that Sharpay was a part of this number.
All right. Like, whatever. That's their
also,
business.
Right.
If they're okay with her joining, then whatever.
No, for real. Did you notice that before they got to singing it and they all like went up and walked up to their positions in front of their microphones, Chad's microphone fell?
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, his microphone fell, and then they start singing and it pans to them again, and then he's got his microphone again and he's like sings his part. And I think that was like the dad moment in me, because our dad is always so particular about noticing little like edit mess ups like that. So I was surprised that they left that part in. I like All for One. It's not like my favorite, but it's a cute little summer bop. And
I like it better than What Time Is It?
Period. Yeah. Also, love Taylor and this number. Just everybody does so good. And the fact that we have a Miley Cyrus appearance.
I know. The Miley Cyrus cameo was a very big deal for all of us children back then. We were all like,
yeah.
Did you see Miley Cyrus? Like, as kids, this was like the biggest deal that ever happened ever.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, we love a crossover. She was just in the cut vibing.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, my lord. And then my favorite moment after they're done performing is when they jump into the pool and then it just kind of like pans to Troy and Gabriella in the water, and then Vanessa Hudgens is actively
trying not to drown. I also put that in my notes. I'm like, somebody come check on her. Like, get that camera off. She's over here
drowning.
She's drowning, literally, actively, I think.
She's supposed to be the lifeguard.
Right. You could tell she was trying to stay in character, but she's also like, I'm
trying to stay afloat.
Scared. I'm a little scared right now. She's clinging on to Zac Efron for dear life.
When I say clinging, we say clinging. She was holding on tight. Why did they keep that in?
I know.
You could have zoomed away and
maybe that was the only shot they were able to do. So they're like, well, we only can do one take of this, so we gotta keep.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that. Overall, it was really, really fun to be able to get to watch this film again. to prepare for this episode. Like, I just stand on it. It's one of my favorites. It just genuinely brings me such good vibes. Like, I feel like it's like the feeling of playing with slime is what the movie gives me the whole like hour and a half.
Yeah. I think, it's a fun watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So that's that. So let us know in the comments, like, what was your favorite movie and part of the movie, and what are your thoughts? Like I said at the beginning, like, we loved being able to see the gang in a different light. Like you said, this is kind of just like a filler type of movie,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, it's
I
fun.
remember I would frequently, like, on my Twitter, would be like, my personal opinion is that I think if High School Musical 2 never happened, 1 and 3 would not be affected at all. And the storyline would be fine. And people would be shocked at me. Because I feel like, for some reason, a lot of people's favorite High School Musical movie is 2. And I'm just like, I don't know. I just kind of find it unnecessary.
No, yeah. I mean, like, on a technical term, it doesn't really do much for the plot other than get us ready for knowing that they're growing up
Yeah.
and college season is around the corner. But they effectively communicated those same type of feelings in 3 as well.
Right.
So it was kind of just like a warning of, oh yeah, like, Troy's starting to really consider his future.
Right.
But we could have just done that
It's
in
like,
3.
well, we kind of learned that in the first 5 minutes of the last movie of High School
The
Musical
third
3.
movie. Yeah. But I do like that aspect about it, that, it's very real. Like, there are those feelings, in those summers leading up to your senior year, for real. And it shows a good job in this movie and in the third of showcasing that anxiety, and that worry for your future, and the fact that Mr. Bolton, like, put it plainly, like, the Wildcats are your now, and that's great. Love them down, but at the same time, not everybody's gonna go be with you in the future, and that's a very real thing. Like, you can have like those friends in high school that you're like, we're never gonna be apart, but once it comes time to go to college, sweetie, that's a rude awakening call. Like, oh, half of these people are not gonna be your BFS forever, like you thought they were, and you really do gotta like focus on what you're gonna do in
Yeah.
your future going forward. You can't always just be like, it's about the team, I want to bring everybody with me, because everyone has their own journey. I also think that the movie did a good job of displaying that, but that was also showed in the third one, and it showed the purpose of it was also showing that Gabriella ain't with that, and she gonna stand on business. But we also learned in the third one too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but overall, it's fun. I had a great time talking with you again on this episode.
Me too.
Yes. So, like I said at the beginning, if you are watching this episode on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. I'm almost to 700 subscribers. And go ahead and rate that 5 stars and leave a review if you're listening on Spotify and Apple. And with that, we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Forward cause I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby. I'm not going home with y'all.